before I get into this, I just want to let everybody know, here's my APB, my public service announcement, whatever you want to call it. I am well aware that wrestling is predetermined. I know that it's scripted. I know that it is not actual competition. I am fully aware of that. So before we get going, I just want to tell everybody that I know. I've been watching it since I was like, I don't know, man, 6, 7 years old. So, you know, and I talked about it before in a previous segment where I said that I equated it to finding out that Santa Claus isn't real, right? It was that type of devastation. So it's okay. I don't need your help, guys. We got this. I got this. All right. First of all, I want to say that I think that to piggyback on another segment that I already did with this about giving Ronda Rousey her due, I think that the same should be said for Becky Lynch and Charlotte Flair as well. I think that we found this only corny because it was Ronda Rousey. Right? Because we've seen her compete for real, because we've seen her win, because we've seen her lose. We have kind of created a different area for Ronda Rousey and for people like her. And we can't suspend that reality for some reason, the way we can for a movie, right? For the Avengers, we're able to suspend that reality because we have a full understanding. Our minds are different when we're walking in, right? As you're going into the movie theater, you've already preempted your mind for something that is epic, for something that is graphically insane just in terms of the visuals, right? Just eye-popping. You've already prepared yourself for that. And I don't think that we've done that yet with wrestling, especially as exposed as the business is. And a big part of that has to do with Vince McMahon, right? You look at what happened way back in the day with Dr. Doom or whoever it was back in the 80s, right? Where supposedly Vince McMahon told him to slap this reporter, right? To ask him if it hurts. Because he said, this reporter's going to ask, whatever you do, you keep K-Fob alive, man. Because he loved the bleeding reality of whether or not it was real or fake, right? It wasn't until the 90s. People say it's really recent, but it's not. It wasn't until the late 90s when he began using the term sports entertainment. And even then, he wanted to keep the business on the hook. He wanted people, wherever Austin went, he was wearing a Stone Cold 316 shirt, right? Wherever The Rock went, he had to get on TV and say, The Rock says, right? His first time on SNL, right? It was The Rock says, there was just always that blending and blurring of what Vince McMahon was trying to accomplish. And so some of this has to do with the way that it was billed back in the day. Even though we know that time is over now, a lot of us have chosen to make fun of it instead of embrace it. And instead of having the mentality of, I'm going to get this great show when I go, and these guys are going to do all these live stunt dives and crazy things right in front of me, we go, oh man, he knows how to fall the right way. Well, so does any stunt double. It's why it's called sports entertainment. And so, the point that I'm getting to here is when we look at Ronda Rousey and we look at Becky Lynch and we look at Charlotte Flair and what they accomplished, number one, 82,000 in attendance. That's huge, guys. That's extremely huge. And it did happen because of Ronda Rousey. I'm not going to back down from that statement. But seeing how Becky Lynch performed, seeing how Charlotte Flair performed, I was actually, for the most part, I was entertained. Yeah, sure, there was, some botched moves in there. But as far as, the whole being in character thing, I think Ronda Rousey has improved tremendously with her looks, the way that she carries herself in and out of a ring. The whole aura of Ronda Rousey, really just amping up that MMA background of hers. And then, of course, there were moments where, right, Charlotte Flair was giving her the old Ric Flair chop, right? And she's like, nope, doesn't hurt, and she was giving the crowd a show when Becky and Charlotte had her up in the air and they were getting ready to power bomb her, right? She was doing that little old school head shake, and it took them 3 power bombs because she's the baddest woman on the planet now, which, By the way, Mike Tyson participated in this at one point. Remember the main event with Stone Cold and Shawn Michaels? Which leads me into my next thing, and that is, I think we forget how many professional athletes have actually participated in the WWE at some point. Karl Malone, Dennis Rodman, Kevin Green, Muhammad Ali, Mike Tyson, as I made mention of a moment ago. I mean, we forget that a lot of people deep down inside grew up wanting to be in the WWE. It's a dream and a reality for a lot of different people. It really is. And I think that we forget that even we sometimes as kids, when we watched it, come on, when I was growing up, me and all of my buddies, oh man, sharpshooters, stone cold stunners, all of it, man, and we had some sort of understanding that it was fake, right? But we were entertained by it. I thought it was real more so than others when I was growing up. But hell, even Charles Barkley, right? And you guys, I think it was during the Sweet 16 where Charles Barkley said, man, I'm going to my grave believing that it's real. I mean, come on, man. Like, it's entertaining and you have to take it at face value. And I thought it was overall really good. The problem is that fans reportedly started to leave because the event was for, too long. So who's ever booking this, I think that they were trying too hard to take advantage of having Ronda Rousey there. She's a cash cow. She's your walking gold mine. And you tried to do, I think, a little too much. There is doing too much. And I think the WWE was guilty of that. I don't think Rousey and Charlotte Flair and Becky Lynch were. But I thought overall, by those three, it was a great performance. The ending, a little too quick. I think, you got to really get the crowd in there and let them get that dramatic count. But a lot of people said, well, the crowd died by the time they got there. Charlotte Flair coming in on a helicopter and all that. They were into it in certain moments. But I think the biggest issue is by the time it got to them, you're so worn out, and unless something really over the top happens, But overall, I mean, for what it was a pretty decent match. I was entertained. I thought it was great. And especially as an Irishman, and Becky Lynch being from Ireland, congratulations, hats off. Congratulations to Ronda Rousey for being the reason that this happened, whether we like it or not. Ronda Rousey is the reason that this happened. Look, a fight that she has nothing to do with, right? Holly Holm and Amanda Nunes. I said this a couple of weeks ago, right? Holly Holm and Amanda Nunes, when you think of them, what do you think about? You think about Holly Holm and her inability to defend that title after she won it? Do you think about Amanda Nunes winning a second championship in a different weight class as a two-time champion? Or do you think of them as the two women who beat Ronda Rousey? And that's how this fight between Nunes and Holmes is being built. Think about that. And Charlotte Flair coming into her own. I just think it's amazing. Her dad even said, I'm no longer, she's no longer my daughter. I'm her dad. That's huge. That's huge. Seeing all three of these women come into their own. I loved it. I thought it was great. So I am Drew Duncan, host of the Full Court Press. Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram is all at Drew Duncan 83. When you share this post, don't forget to use the hashtag Don't You Dare Touch That Dial. And as always, don't you dare touch that dial.